I'm Elisa, and I am the Scrappy Wife behind scrappywife.com, and today I have a Bible journaling process for you, and I'm actually going to journal some sermon notes from a recent sermon at my church. I showed you all this last week. It is the new Traveler's Notebook that I made to keep my sermon notes, and last week was the first time I kept it. I loved it. I loved seeing the colors. I loved how it was divided up, so I'm excited to use it again this week. But I'm going to be in Nehemiah, and we are talking about standing for Christ and standing up for our faith. And we're in the passage of Nehemiah 8, where he is standing to read the Torah to all of the Jews that have come back to kind of reopen the temple and rebuild. And as he starts reading, all of them stand up for the listening. And we talked a lot in church about literally standing up in church and literally showing your faith in that way, but also standing up for your faith out in the world. And so I wanted to include some of those notes. And today I wanted to do kind of a different process that is a little simpler, perhaps bolder. And I'm going to do one large quote on the page and then add a few notes around it. And to do the large quote, I'm going to use a variety of different alpha stamps in a variety of colors to start with that, and then come back and add notes. And I just wanted to show you it doesn't have to be complicated. Every page does not have to have all the ephemera and all of the millions of different stamps and all the watercolor and just all of the things. Sometimes you can just spend time doing a simple message and focusing on that. So that being said, I will put you on fast forward. This should be, I hope, a pretty fast video, and we'll see how the page turns out. Let's go. All right, I am going to put this video in super fast forward mode because I'm not doing anything earth shattering, no new techniques. It is just stamping, and it's using the supplies that I had on hand. And I feel like sometimes we think we have to reinvent the wheel every time. We have to do something new with our Bible journaling or try to make every page super detailed, and that's not really what Bible journaling is about. It's not about new techniques all of the time. It's about spending time in the Word. And I actually had someone comment recently that they had thought you had to be an artist to be a Bible journaler, and I will never ever claim to be an artist. I've never taken any classes, but I do enjoy color, and I enjoy crafting, and I enjoy craft supplies, and I really enjoy getting into the Word in this way. And you don't have to create a super detailed page to have spent some quality time in the Word and to just let your creativity out. So as you can see, I am just combining some different alpha stamps here. When you're using these acrylic stamps, you have to use the acrylic block. There are several available over at By the Will for God or scrapbook.com. I'll link some below. The acrylic block allows you to kind of place the stamps down and then be able to see where you're putting them on the page. If you've been away from stamping for a while, you probably remember those wooden block stamps with the rubber stamps attached to them, which are awesome, except that you can't exactly see where you're putting the image. So this lets you kind of line up the alpha, line up whatever image, and see where you're putting it on the page. If you notice, I tend to build my words backwards. I always start at the end of the word. I don't know why. For some reason, spatially, that makes more sense to me. So I tend to do backwards stamping when I'm building up these alpha stamps. And if you can tell, I pause ahead of time before I stamp just to double check the spelling, because I have built the word backwards. I want to make sure that I didn't kind of get anything mixed up in my head. The inks I am using are the Versamagic Dewdrop inks, and these are a chalk ink. And what that means is you get kind of a smooth finish. It doesn't feel like chalk to your fingers, but it does not bleed through Bible paper. The paper in this particular Bible, this is the Illustrating Bible available at Dayspring. This is actually the first version of that Bible, and they have a newer version released right now. It's a little bit thicker than regular Bible paper, but I believe that these inks don't even bleed through regular thin Bible paper. So they are fantastic for Bible journaling. They blend very nicely, and I really enjoy the variety of colors that they come in. The alphas that I'm using are a variety from my stash. Most of them are from By the Well for God. I will link them all below. The largest alphas you see are a set of Tim Holtz alphas, and they are foam. They're kind of a foam material, and they also cling to those clear acrylic blocks. The quote that I'm adding on to this page says, "If you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything." And yes, I did have some of the Hamilton soundtrack kind of running through my head as I was pondering this passage. And like I mentioned before, in church we talked about just standing up in church in celebration and in praise, and then standing up in your life, standing up for the causes you believe in, and standing up for your faith. And I think it's a really important thing to keep in mind, especially as everyone is going back to school and we are encountering new schedules and new demands on our time, that we are standing up for the things we believe in and that we are keeping those central to our lives. I want to make the words stand and fall a little crisper and kind of highlight them a little bit, so I'm using these gel pens. I'll link them below. They are an erasable gel pen, and I am in love with them. And I'm using them to outline the letters of the word stand, and then I'll find a light blue one and outline the letters of the word fall. Again, I had that dirty stamp, as you can see, with the letter N. I'd left some black ink on it, so I didn't like that, but what are you going to do? I'd already stamped it. And so I decided to highlight it with the yellow to kind of offset that. It's a great lesson in why you should always use the Lawn Fawn stamp chamois, or clean your alphas, clean your stamps, because most of the time I use black ink, and so it's not a problem, but every now and then I'm going to use all the colors, and if there's a little bit of black left on that stamp, then it will certainly come across. I added the phrase, "What do I stand for?" at the bottom, which is something that I was pondering throughout the time that I was working on this Bible page. The next thing I'm going to do is grab a new stamp set that I picked up this summer from Illustrated Faith. They sometimes re-release stamp sets over there. Stamp sets from the past that they had in their Etsy days, or just really popular stamp sets. And this was from a set that they re-released this summer. And there are some great phrases and great arrows in there that I really like. The word brave, be bold, and I'm going to fill in some of the white space on the left-hand side with these phrases. And I decided, instead of using black ink, that I wanted to use gray. And the only gray I had was this Distress Oxide. Doesn't always give the crispest image, but I didn't want it to stand out too much. I thought black might be too bold for this page. So you see me kind of filling in the white space. One thing I love about these clear acrylic stamps is that when you're trying to figure out where you want your stamping on your page, you can use the actual stamp to kind of lay out on your page. See if you like it, see if that's where it's going to fit. It's a great way to kind of try it without committing, and I think that's one of the pluses of having these clear acrylic stamps. So you're going to see me pull in my traveler's notebook over on the right, and I am transferring some of the notes that I have from the sermon straight on into my Bible. I don't always repeat notes because I have both sets that I can go back and look at, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I want to bring out the main points, and I think it's a good exercise, sometimes copying things over. I was that person studying in school that if I could copy it a bunch of times, write things over and over, then that helped it stick in my head. So I think that's one of the ways I learn best, so writing it again never hurts. Next, I'm going to add the date and then underline the passage in Nehemiah that I'm focused on right here. And then I'm going to start considering what I want to do to tab the top of this Bible. And I have several new tassels that I picked up at Joann's on clearance recently, and I just decide to grab the large purple one. So fun. And I'm going to make a dangle tassel. Basically, all I'm going to do is tie it to the top of this paper clip right here, and then I'm going to take a piece of washi tape with a rainbow motif, since that's kind of the color scheme I went with, and add it to the top to solidify it there, and then I'll have a fun dangle tassel. It took me a couple tries to get that washi tape secured, but once I did, I'm going to put it on the top, add a little bit more washi to make sure that paper clip doesn't move around, and then my page will be done. I hope you enjoyed this super simple Bible journaling page. Remember, it doesn't always have to be complicated. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button and also that bell notification button. I hope you have a fantastic Monday, and as always, keep it creative.